Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the One Talk podcast. You're here with your host, Ryan McCarthy. And today we are joined by Jimmy Judge. Jimmy does extreme food challenges and he's also a personal trainer. And in today's episode, we touch on the food challenges that Jimmy does. We touch on personal training. We also touch on Jimmy used to work in the youth detention center, and we talked about mindset and mental health and some of the things that he saw working with the youth in the detention center and so much more. But to give you a bit of insight, like some of the food challenges that Jimmy has done, he's done a 3.6 kilogram burger challenge, 3 kilo ice cream challenge, and that gives me brain freeze just thinking about it. He's done the 3 kilo HSP snack pack challenge, 2.5 kilo kebab challenge, and so much more. Like it's incredible how he does all these things. And he also does this while balancing working in the mines, doing fly in, fly out. And it's just a really inspiring episode as well, seeing someone chase something they're passionate about, chasing their dreams, doing something that they love that, that really fulfills them in life, also while working and doing the thing as well. So today's episode is awesome. Jimmy's a legend of a bloke, and I can't wait for you all to check it out. In other news, you may be aware that on One Talk podcast, every single month, we pick a new GoFundMe to be featured on the podcast to bring more awareness and potentially raise some funds for the GoFundMe that's been selected. And October's GoFundMe is for Boston. He's a baby boy based in Brisbane and he is fighting leukemia. He's fighting for his life, battling leukemia. And to see this little fella so strong, so resilient, and still overcoming so many obstacles, it's so good to see the spirit that he's in and the spirit the family's in, and seeing how much support baby Boston has around them. And seeing this got me, really wanting to get involved because I'm a soon-to-be father as well. And to see a young, innocent boy fighting for his life with leukemia, so saddening. So I really wanted to find a way to bring more awareness and to give back. So the GoFundMe will be in the link of this episode. Please go to the GoFundMe. If you can't donate even just $5 or $1, please just share it with friends on socials, wherever, so we can get some money and some awareness for Boston to help him with his battle with leukemia. Also, in other news, before we get in the episode, if you could please leave a rating on Spotify, chuck us a follow, subscribe on YouTube, wherever you're listening on with this podcast, please just find some sort of way to follow, subscribe, like, comment, whatever it is. It just means so much, helps the channel grow, reach larger audiences, and then also get bigger guests on the show as well. But without further ado, let's welcome Jimmy.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. The marathon continue. Victory lap tonight, though. Victory lap tonight.
Welcome to the One Talk podcast with Ryan McCarthy.
The marathon continues. That's what you would say.
Welcome, Jimmy. How you doing, brother?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks, man. Thanks for sharing your time and coming on the poddy today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I saw, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your challenge you did today, because I was looking at your socials and you're at like a burger bar on some waterfront. You had about 8 burgers there. Could you give us a bit of a little insight to it?
Yeah, so there's actually, where I live in Townsville, there's an island like 20 minutes across the way, I guess you'd say. You catch a little ferry. It's called Magnetic Island. They've got like a backpackers over there. And the backpackers is attached to a burger restaurant. So the burger restaurant has invited me over to do one of every burger on their menu. So there's 7 normal burgers and they've got a special burger. So they brought out a tray of decent sized burgers too. They weren't like, I thought they might be like little cheeseburgers. I thought it might be nice and easy, but that was a bit of a challenge, which was good. But yeah, so they brought out one of each, but it was cool, man. I had like a whole crowd of backpackers drinking and cheering me on and stuff. And I would be doing my challenge and then they would order a burger and be like, I'm going to eat this one burger quicker than you can eat this burger. And I'd be like mid challenge. So it was fun, man. It was really, really fun. So that place is called Island Burger on Magnetic Island. So no, they were really good.
Man, how good is it when people just get involved and want to be a part of it and cheer you on and just be a part of like that energy, like just the experience that people get just by people coming together and experiencing something good.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's the best part for me is like, this just kind of builds this little sense of community that we have. Cause like one thing we all have in common is we all need to eat food.
Yeah.
So it's the thing we can kind of bond over. And, especially with the social media, I think it's very easy to sometimes things get a bit heavy, but it's very hard to make food content overly heavy most of the time. It's pretty easy breezy, and people have a laugh and have a bit of a joke, and like the more that people get involved, the more I'm here for it. So it's I'm so lucky and it's so fun.
Like you said, bro, too, like with the backpackers watching, like that's people from different countries, different cultures, complete different upbringings and experiences to people here in Australia. But they all unite for the one thing, and cheer you on. Like it's so good to see.
Yeah, and it's just so nice that like I still can't get over this social media stuff where we've got some English backpackers there, and they're like, "Oh, you're that eating guy." I'm like, "How do you know about?" You know what I mean? I'm in Townsville, man. Like it's not they don't even know where Townsville is. So yeah, I'm really grateful that we can all kind of bond over this like crazy little thing that we're doing.
Yeah, because like when you shared on your story that you come on the podcast, I had so many of like my mates message me, go, "Have you actually got Jimmy go on the
That's
podcast?
awesome,
He's the
man.
man."
That's
And then
that's so cool.
even my wife, like about an hour ago, she was getting ready for the gym, and she goes, "Oh, so who's on your potty tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, Jimmy." She goes, "Oh, Jimmy Judge." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, I
That's
watch this
awesome.
stuff
I'm
all the
so
time."
grateful. Hey, that's cool as.
Yeah, like when you first started, did you expect it? Because it's been about a year or so, hasn't it? Like, did you really
Yeah,
expect
yeah,
it to reach this many people?
just over 12 months, bro. I didn't expect anyone to care at all. And I guess that's the beauty of this for me is because there's no pressure. Like I never expected this to do anything. And if tomorrow people suddenly decided that they didn't want to watch it, I would still do the same thing because I really have a fun time. But I think that also correlates to people sort of going, "Oh, this guy's just going to do it anyway," and there's no kind of ulterior motive. But I mean, I didn't think I would. I remember I got 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I was scared that I was going to get too many unfollowers and drop back down under 10. I thought it was just going to be like a bit of a flash in the pan, honestly. So I'm so grateful for everyone that is supportive.
Yeah, like you've got supporters all over Australia now, international too, like you said with those English blokes. Like it's awesome, man. It feels like it's just the beginning for you because I'm assuming you want to go international with her and go to other countries and do
Yeah,
challenges over there.
100%, bro, 100%. And this is the sort of thing where I can see myself doing it for a long time and not getting burnt out or tired of it. So I'm no big rush, but yeah, if I can expand it and make it bigger, I'm keen to do that too. So this is it's like you said. Hopefully, it's just the beginning.
And like when you do something you love, man, and like people just end up gravitating around it because they can feel it, like when you're so authentic to something that you want to do, like other people can see that and they can feel that. And I feel like that kind of inspires people to take a step into their own journey of doing something they like to do as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's and I said to someone the other day, with relation to this, if this is people finding me eating food interesting. Like, who's to say that you can't make music or write poetry or get a car business or something? Because, if you told me 12 months ago that, 20,000 people would give a stuff about me doing food stuff, I would have probably giggled and been like, that's a nice dream, but it's probably not going to happen. So I guess it also shows people that you don't really know how people will react to something until you actually give it a go.
100%, bro. Because like even for me with this podcast, like I done it for so long, and I definitely would do it like for as long as I could, even without money, even without like exposure or anything, just because like I love doing the thing, and it must be the same for you too, bro.
100%, 100%. And like you said, people can tell when there's no ulterior motive. I think it's just purely out of the passion for it.
Yeah. Is it the same for fitness as well? Because I know you got into fitness at like quite a young age as well. So like, do you have to try and find the balance between the two, or do you have like a different motivation for both, but they both like fulfill you in a sense, if
Um,
that makes sense?
yeah, no, definitely makes sense. I think I'm really lucky in the sense where I train more for mental health than anything else. And that's always going to be something that affects us. I guess it affects us all really. Um, excuse me, but I think I would always train regardless of the circumstance. It just marries up really nicely that I have to burn a bunch of calories because I'm eating a bunch of calories.
Mm.
But I got into this eating stuff because I used to box. And so I was boxing from a young age. My dad used to box, and I was always keeping my weight low. And I think, a lot of boxers or bodybuilders or any kind of person with a weight restrictive sport could testify to this is when you're always dieting, you're always thinking about food. So when you see other people eating, for me, it was man versus food, and other people it's like beard meats food and all these people. When you watch them eat, you're like, oh, I can't eat it, but I'm going to live through you eating the food.
Yeah.
So I was always like, man, when I stopped boxing, um, what am I going to do? Like, what's my motivation to stay fit if I don't have that little kind of, something to push me, like someone's going to try and fight me, because that's a great motivator to stay fit.
Yeah.
So when I stopped boxing, I was like, man, I've sort of kind of lost that spark for training. And then sort of thought, oh, well, but now I don't have to keep my weight down. I can do eating challenges. And then I started doing the eating challenges and thought, well, I better start moving again. Because I was still always training, but I was sort of slacked off a little bit. And then this has really put the fire back in my belly, because I want to show people that you can do like what I'm doing, and you can balance it. Like, you can do it healthily, like, as healthy as possible. I probably, I don't recommend it, but you can still do the eating challenges and you can still be fit and healthy. It's just finding that balance of, on the days I'm not doing challenges, there's so much exercise and the diet's not very exciting.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people get put off like starting their, I guess, wellness journey with going to the gym and exercising, because they're kind of put off with some of the misconceptions about getting into it. Like, you don't have to start drinking kale smoothies every day and, doing all this different type of stuff to get fit and
Yeah,
healthy. Like me, myself, like I'm on a calorie deficit at the moment. I had 2 burgers for dinner, like it's finding ways to implement the food you enjoy. And that way it helps you stay more consistent too, eh?
100%, 100%. And exactly like you said, it's, just because Instagram is full of people that are like, no days off and you can never cheat on your diet and all this stuff. I feel like, you're still a human. You've still got to enjoy yourself. And I guess that's, kind of what I'm trying to preach, which is like, you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, as long as you're just not having your cake every single day,
Yeah, definitely. And it's like interesting too what you said about the being an ex-boxer and you'd watch videos because you wanted to live through them on those videos. And like you always crave more food. And it made sense because do you know who Liam Wilson is, the professional boxer?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I had Liam come on the poddy about 2 months ago. And he was talking about that because he was always having to drop weight to get to this lower weight division. But now he's decided to step up a weight class because it's a lot less harsher on the body. You can actually
Yes, yep.
enjoy a bit more of life.
And respect to those guys, especially
Yeah.
all the pros, man. That's next level, honestly. Like, that's incredible.
Mm.
But yeah, it's true. Like, I guess the more you can't have something, the more you think about it.
Yeah. The more it makes you want to crave it, eh?
100%, 100%.
And especially like, yeah, I love how you said too, like the main reason you go to the gym is for your mental health, because I find this like it's one of the biggest and best medicines that you can have for your mental health. Like, you never go to the gym and leave and regret going. Like every time you
100,
go, even if you don't feel like it, you leave and you're like, thank fuck I actually went.
100%. 100%. And I think um, more and more people are starting to realize that as well. In the past, I guess there was the misconception that you only went to the gym to look better, but I think for the most part, you feel better. And when you feel better, you probably, like, I know for me at least, I make better choices. Like, if I'm in the gym, I'm around healthier people, I definitely drink way less. I'm going out less because I'm in an environment that doesn't make me really feel like I'm missing out on anything by making healthier choices.
Yeah, exactly. And then the more you feel better, like the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the better choices that you make as well. And then like it pours into so many other areas of your life.
Yes. Oh, everything really. I guess everything really is connected. Hey, like,
Yeah. Like what does like I guess an exercise day look like for you? Is it strength training? Is it cardio? Is it a mixture of both? Like what's your personal, I guess, hobby with it?
so I always try and do at least probably like 5 days of cardio, like 5 or 6 days of cardio a week. I always have Monday fully off. Like, I try and take one day to do nothing at all. But then I'll try and do like weights. Like, my schedule's pretty extreme, I guess, but also like I've had a lot of jobs, but like I've sort of been training since I was 12 when I was a PT. So like I definitely wouldn't recommend starting with the amount of volume that I do, but it's sort of something I've slowly built up to over a long period of time.
Mm.
But so I'll do weights 4 times a week, cardio 6 times a week, and the cardio will be like a stagger between I'll run like 5 to 10 Ks one day, and then I'll do an hour on the assault bike and then repeat. So I'll go like 1, 2, 1, 2 sort of thing. And I just sort of find that by doing the assault bike, it sort of gives my joints a bit of a break from the running.
Yeah.
But the running still definitely keeps me humble, because I know if I'm getting too heavy, because the running starts getting harder. So it's sort of just something I've picked up from boxing, I guess. And then with the weights, I'll just do like an upper lower, give it a few days off, then another upper lower, because I just enjoy lifting weights, I guess.
Yeah, because sometimes like when you go into a run, it can be a really big tester or like a big awakening for you of like something you need to do. I remember like a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago, I went for a run And I felt a body part jiggle that I haven't felt jiggle before. And I was like, fuck, calorie deficit starts today.
But it's so true, man, because like, everyday life, like, we'll be doing physical stuff or lifting heavy stuff, and you're like, I'm pretty fit. And then I think, all right, well, how fast can I run 5Ks? So probably once a week I'll do like a fast run, and the other ones I'll do more like zone two, keep things like a bit cruisier, so I'm not flogging myself too much. But yeah, and then you think, holy hell, like especially comparing back to days when I used to do it all the time, I'm like, I'm very unfit compared to what I used to be.
Yeah, and you must be like, because your schedule, like from the outside looking in, man, like it looks super busy because you're in the mines and you train a lot, you do PT, and then also you're doing the food challenges. So I guess the first question I have with that, like, how do you schedule in exercise, especially when you're away in the mines?
Um, I've got a routine now, and it's like I've called it like a 2-2:30 routine. So we work nights and days. The shifts are 6 till 6:30. So if we're doing nights, it's 6:30, sorry, 6 p.m. till 6:30 a.m. If it's days, it's 6 a.m. Till 6:30 p.m.
Mm.
So I'll set my alarm for 2 or 2:30, depending on like how long the session will be, because I'll just do cardio and then just finish the session with weights. If I'm back home, then I'll always split the sessions and make sure I eat and stuff in between. But it's just I just can't do it at work with. So yeah, just get up nice and early, take some pre-workout, do a bit of stretching, do my cardio, do my weights, then get to breakfast by 5, get everything ready, go to work, and then most of the time, man, we'll be done work at 6:30. I'll be in bed by 7 or
Yeah.
like quarter past 7. So I guess it's just sort of figuring out what works for me. I was trying to train after work, but after being underground for 12 and a half hours, I was honestly too tired.
Mm. I can imagine how exhausting that could be. Yeah, like 12 hours underground and
Yeah.
trying to do a workout after it.
And I think mentally too, by starting my day with exercise, I kind of feel like I've done something for myself.
Mm.
And that way, if you have a real hectic day, you don't have to think all day, oh, I still got to train after this. Like,
And like when you go to the gym in the morning as well, like before work, like you're getting endorphins, you're getting dopamine, like you're feeling fucking great for the day ahead. Then those last couple of hours of shift, then you know, like, all right, now I don't have to go and pump out like a 2 hour workout. I can go and
yeah,
relax and rest.
you can just relax, you can cruise it on in. And people always give me shit because they're like, you're always so chirpy. And I'm like, well, because by the time I see you guys, I've been up for like 4 hours. You
Yeah.
guys are getting up but no, and I guess it also just sort of like everyone that I work with is super supportive of, all the things that I do on the side. And they also know, my training schedule and stuff. So like everyone's great, man. Like I'm blessed to be in such a positive environment. It keeps me really motivated. So when I am training, I'm in a good mood. Like it's so much easier to get to the gym and do all this stuff because I'm met by such encouragement. Even if it's people that don't train, they're still like, oh, good for you for like sticking to what you want to do. Because I tell them all the time, it's not that the food stuff is necessarily always the hardest, although sometimes it can be. It's the making sure I don't get too lazy in between the challenges, because if I slack off on the days I don't do challenges with the diet or with the exercise, that's I think when it really starts to show and I start to feel a bit I
Yeah.
can feel it.
That's why it's so good to have like such a good environment of people around you. Because in the days where you feel, I guess, a little bit more sluggish or a little bit more behind, they're really there to able to uplift you, and get you back on
Absolutely.
track.
Absolutely. And I think it also just comes from being a bit more vulnerable myself. This is something I've really tried to do more and more, and I'm trying to do it on social media, but and in real life, which is just, if I'm having a bad time, be honest. If I'm having a good time, be honest. If I'm struggling with something, ask for help. Because I think we're sort of that last generation of dudes that really aren't the best at asking for help. But from doing this, I've got people constantly checking in and vice versa. I check in with them. How are you really going, man? Because I think for me, like the whole mental health thing with the minds, like having a week off is the best thing ever,
Yeah.
best thing in the world. But when you fly out there and you kind of feel like you're away from your loved ones for a week and you kind of sitting there in your little room at night, it is very easy to sort of lose sight of what a blessing it is to have a nice job and have a week off.
Mm. 100%. It's good to hear about you opening up, especially with the following you got and showing that side of yourself. Because I think I was about 19 years old when I first heard about depression, and anxiety, and like that was back at the time when I was struggling with both of them, but I didn't even know what they were.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then when I started opening up, I'm like, oh shit, this is what depression is. This is why I
yeah,
feel like this. Oh, there's actually ways to overcome this feeling. But the day I opened up was the day I started to find new mechanisms, speak to more people, and find out more about myself so I could overcome like the shit I was going through.
yeah. Oh man, and I guess isn't that incredible? Like you were 19, you didn't even know
Yeah.
like that. You know, that's amazing to think that, hopefully down the track, from people like yourself and people educating other people that will never be a thing where people have to feel like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's happening to me? And they sort of go, okay, well, this is what this must be.
Yeah. So I can imagine too, man. Like, I know we're talking a little bit about before the poddy, but for the people listening, like, you used to work in a detention center for kids. And you probably saw that a lot with some of the young people you saw in there as well, like just unregulated emotions or maybe lack of awareness of how they feel or what it is and things like that.
100%, man, 100%. And I was working at the detention center for 3 years, and honestly, like I think that's why I like the job so much because I saw a lot of myself in the kids, honestly. And there's, they were a bit younger, obviously, because they're all under 18, or like, some of the boys were just 18.
Yeah.
But exactly what you said, it's the inability to regulate emotions, and I still see that amongst, and then when I was right before I did the detention work, I actually worked as a nightclub bouncer. But you still see that in adults. It's that inability. It's more so with the alcohol in adults, but with the kids, it's just also because they're still figuring out who they are. But it's that inability to regulate their emotions. And, especially when I was growing up, if you had a problem with someone, you punch them. Like,
Yeah.
like if you had to sort something out, it would normally turn into just like a fight because we didn't really know how to regulate our emotions and there was no real communication. And I see so much of that in that detention environment where it's nothing to do with the quality of the boys and girls and everything to do with just a complete lack of being able to either regulate or express how they feel.
Yeah, because it's not anything that we've been taught as kids, like, and how to react,
Yeah.
how to respond, how to sit with something before we go and react and act on that thing. Like, instead, we're just doing things based on our initial reaction, acting with that. We're not taught anything to put in between that.
No, and the worst part is people label emotions as bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. You can't think like that. You can't get mad. Don't be mad. Build a bridge and all this stuff. But if you're mad, you're allowed to be mad. But I think the biggest thing is, like you said, teach them like how, like sit with it, think about it. Just because someone's upset you doesn't mean you have to like react towards them. But you also don't have to like suppress how you're feeling. But you're absolutely right. It took me 26, 27 years to understand that things can upset me and I don't actually have to give it any like, I can just allow it to upset me and not respond.
Yeah. And like you said, that's so important what you said there too. Like, nothing's good and nothing's bad. It's like rather it's helpful or unhelpful in the moment. And I find, especially with anger, I think anger has such a bad rep attached to it because maybe some of the things it can lead to. But anger can be a really good thing in terms of motivation. You use it for motivation to go to the gym. You use it for motivation
100%.
to work on something in your life or, like using that energy towards something positive. Like, I don't think any emotion is negative or positive. It just depends what you do with it.
100%. I think exactly right. It depends how you channel it. If you want to channel it towards, something like productive training, writing music or, something like that, definitely amazing. But if you want to, use it towards getting revenge and fighting people, then, definitely, then it's not going to help them in the long run. But no, I completely agree.
Yeah, because I can imagine, man, because like for myself, like if I have a big feed, especially like if it's like a big dinner with a big dessert, after I get like post feed blues,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
like do you ever like deal with that with the food challenges that you do? And if you do, like how do you overcome any post feed blues?
Sometimes it's not even like the necessarily blues. It's more so just it's almost I think like post feed shock sometimes
Yeah, true.
because sometimes I'll have a fear like if I know I've got a really big challenge coming up, I'll still do plenty of like stomach stretches with like water and broccoli and low calorie foods. But sometimes I'll be eating really clean for multiple days in a row, and then I'll do this big donut challenge or something that my stomach's like whoa, and then afterwards it's almost like sometimes it's like a crash.
Mm.
Sometimes because I'll be so hungry before the challenge, like often before challenges I feel flat. I'll be sitting there with my brother or someone and I'll be like, hey man, like I'm not depressed, but I think I need to eat because like I feel so flat. Like because I'll train in the morning before the work, before the challenge. So, I'm fasted and I think, man, I feel like my blood sugar might be a bit low. I just feel really, really like not slack, but just flat.
Mm.
and then I'll eat, and depending what it is, I'm like, whoa, I feel amazing, I feel incredible, and it's like you said, I don't know if you'd say the blues or a crash or a shock, but it's like down and then shoot to the moon, and then like once it all hits, it's like trying to be like, all right, got to come back to like a stable landing sort of thing. So I'll try and do like a little walk or something afterwards and just stay hydrated, and that's why I try not to do too many like crazy sugar challenges very often,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
they're the ones I've noticed give me the biggest like post crash.
yeah, that's a better way to put it. Post meal crash, because especially with the sugar
Absolutely.
ones, because everything's probably so heightened, especially your heart rate's probably going quicker and
Oh,
everything too.
incredible. And yeah.
Yeah. And if you have like, when it comes, like, what's the most hectic dessert challenge you've done? Because I know you've done like a 3 kilos of ice cream challenge. Like,
Yeah,
have you done
I was
anything?
gonna say, I think that was probably the most hectic one at Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Or the other one that comes to mind, but I didn't finish this one. My friend makes cakes. So she's got a little business called Cakes by Sam. And I asked her to make me like a replica of the Matilda cake
A big
from the
chocolate
movie,
muddy.
the big
Yeah.
chocolate muddy from that Bruce Bogtrotter eats. So I thought, maybe like a kilo and a half of cake. I thought I still don't know with the amount of sugar if I'll be able to tackle that one, but we'll give it a good go. Well, she came out with a 6.7 kilo cake, and I was like, "You're kidding!" So I don't even think I got through a quarter of that one. And there's just the sugar. Like I was starting to feel like I was getting like the Red Bull shakes, like the sugar shakes.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that maybe even that was probably a little bit more hectic than the ice cream sundae. But on the bright side, every single person in my neighborhood got a piece of cake, so they were very happy.
They would have loved you.
Yeah, they were stoked. They were stoked. They loved it.
Doing that ice cream challenge, did you have to battle like brain freeze and stuff? Because I can imagine trying to, because what was the time frame for the 3 kilos of ice cream?
I think with that one, because I was talking to the owner Kurt and his wife, and I was like, should we do a time frame or should we just get it done and see if I can get it done? And they were like, bro, whatever you reckon. But they're like, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But they're like, if you can just finish it, like, it's just going to be cool if you can finish it. So I definitely think if I was racing for a time, it would have been even worse. But the brain freeze was still hectic, even with the lack of a time, with the lack of a time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, man. Do you think, like, what has been the most mentally challenging, like food, and what's been the most physically challenging? Or has there been one that's been both collectively?
Well, with the food, I think the hardest part is like as crazy as this sounds, it's like comparing yourself to other people with certain foods. Like when I started, um, you do like a cheeseburger challenge or something, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do 10 cheeseburgers in this time frame. And then there's a lot of people that have done it, and it's sort of like mentally you've got to prepare yourself for the fact that there's going to be lots of people in the world, and like you're not always going to be the best, and
Yeah.
well, someone will be the best, but in my circumstance, you're not always going to be the best. And I've started for fun. I never really started to be the best. I just wanted to make like fun videos. I think mentally for me, I had to sort of get over a little bit of my own ego. And that was like the hardest part mentally with the food challenges, was realizing that I can still have a lot of fun with this. And there will always be someone like, like your Jay Webbies, and like Joey Chestnuts of the world that are just like, one, they're really lovely dudes too, because I've spoken to them. They're lovely, lovely dudes. But two, there's just some people that are just incredible. So I think I had to sort of take the ego aside, because with the boxing, I guess you're always like, oh, you want to be the best. Everyone that you fight, you got to beat them. It's just you versus them. Whereas for me, this is more about like kind of building a community and having fun. So I think mentally, once I got over when I got over myself, I guess, to realize that like this was more for fun. I'm not trying to be the best of everything. That's when I kind of feel like I've got over the hardest mental part. And I think the hardest physical part was realizing that like your weight will fluctuate after the challenges. So like, your weight will be like, if you're eating normal, it'll go normal, normal, normal. And that's why I think some people will have like a slip on their diet. They'll eat like a lot of carbs. The next day they're like 3 kilos heavier. Excuse me, I've got the burps after that burger challenge.
No, you're all good.
Um, and then like the scale is your best friend or your worst enemy. You jump on the scale and you think like, oh my God, like I can't believe it. I've put on 4 kilos, and it might be just water, but I think, that physically is the hardest thing to kind of realize, all right, relax. There's, you don't have to do an extra million exercise things today. You just keep doing what the plan is. Like I stick to the schedule. And then in a couple of days, everything's back to normal. So just I think it's physically restraining myself from not just reacting to when I see a change.
Yeah. At this stage, just understanding it's a part of the process and stick to the
Of
plan.
course, of course, yeah, definitely.
It sounds like for yourself, man, like instead of having like an end goal with it, instead it's just more so embracing the journey and seeing where it takes you.
Yes, yeah, 100%. I really think, you know, down the track, I will look back on all this and just be grateful for like even stuff like today, man. I appreciate it so much. This sort of stuff is opportunities that I never thought I would ever get, honestly. So like there's nothing to not enjoy. And then the more and more this gets bigger and the more and more people I meet, it's kind of like I'm blessed with more opportunities. So I think, I don't think there'll ever be a time where I've like, oh, I've sort of done it now. I'm done. Like I think there's always more food to be eaten. There's always more people to help. There's always more people to meet. So like I think the beauty of this is I never really have to feel like, oh, I've done it. Yeah, what next? Oh, I'm done.
Because I can take you all around the globe.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Because like what do you reckon your younger self would think if you went back in time, saw the younger version of yourself who's watching the videos online, living through other people doing these challenges, and you who you are now going back to that person saying this is what you'll be doing in the future? Like what do you reckon your reaction would be?
No way. uh, um, I think, yeah, I really wouldn't believe it, to be honest, because it's just one of those things where sometimes it just feels like it's everyone like it just makes you feel like the people that you watch on the internet or on TV are different to you. But I guess the biggest realization for me is that, like I guess, me, you, anyone on the internet is we're just normal people.
Yeah.
That was my biggest shock is like there's nothing actually, it's just people that have had a go and other people have been like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Just going out there, giving the crack and then people enjoying it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Because I saw you did I think it was the donut challenge in Kenilworth Bakery because Kenilworth is not too far from my house, and I remember I went there a couple of years ago and got the kilo donut. But I had to split it between three people. And like for myself, before I did that kilo donut, like I was one of those people like I eat really quick. Like my family gets on my ass about like just slow down. So like I thought I was like, yeah, I should be sweet doing this kilo donut, but I couldn't get anywhere near it. Like what
Oh,
was that Kenilworth donut like for you?
um, it's just like you said, man, it's sweet. It's
Yeah.
really, really sweet. Like I was it's actually funny you said that. I'm going back at the end of October to redo it because I've done the donut and the sausage roll, but this is like right before I started filming ones. Like I didn't actually like I wasn't doing like the videos at the time, or if I
Yeah.
was, it was just like time lapse videos on the old iPhone. Um, but that's the thing that gets you with like those donut challenges. You think, oh, it's not that big. It's like it's a kilo. Like I could eat a kilo, but it's the sweetness. Like once you start getting that kind of sugar feeling, your belly just goes like, nah, man, stop. Like
Yeah, because like you crave the first few bites, then you get after them. Once you get like, like 20% through it, you start to think, fuck, like, this is getting heavy.
you get the sugar sweats and your heart's like, bro, what are you doing? Like
Yeah. I'd love to be able to come like when you go to Kenilworth, if I can come down and like watch you do that again. That'd be sick.
100%. If you're free when I'm there, I'll let you know if you like in advance.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%, man. So yeah, because I love Kenilworth and I've been really excited to go back and one to get some proper videos, but two also see if I can beat my times from 12 months ago. Because fingers crossed, I feel like I'm a little bit better than I was then. But either way, it'll still be fun.
Do you feel like that with like every challenge that you do, like you've made progress on like how much you can get down or how
I
much you can
think
keep down?
I think it definitely depends on how much training, in terms of like capacity and stuff I do between the challenges as well. So like between the food challenges, I'll have like, I've got it like this is just a 1 liter bottle, but I've got like a big 5 liter bottle of water. And a couple of times a week, I'll just see how quickly I can get that down. Like, try and get that down under half an hour, something like that, and eat food on top of it, electrolytes, so I don't ruin myself with too much water. But if I'm doing that sort of stuff consistently, which I have been lately, then I do feel that every time I do a challenge, I'm getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
There was definitely a time, probably the first 6 months, where I was not probably doing my like stomach stretching and stuff as much as I should have been. And those were the ones where like if you start skipping that training in between the challenges, that's when you kind of notice like I'm going
Yeah.
backwards. It's
Yeah.
sort of one of those things that you got to, I guess it's like any muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. Like if you're not constantly trying to get better, then you're just going backwards.
Yeah. It's like if you just don't train chest 4 weeks and then try and train chest again and wonder why you're lifting 5 kilos lighter. It's like,
100%.
well,
It's exactly what that is. Yes. Yeah.
and like, what? How many days preparation do you have to give yourself? Like when you know you've got a big challenge coming up, is it 2 days, 3 days, a day before? Like, what
It
does the
normally
prep look
it
like?
just depends on the challenge, and it depends on what I've been doing before that. Like sometimes if I'll be on the road, I might have like a few challenges back to back to back. So I'll try and get the bigger challenge. Like, if I've got 3 challenges in a row, I'll try and do the very biggest one the first day, because I know that the biggest ones will be the hardest, and then do the smaller ones after that. But ideally, I'd like to have, like two good days of training and a calorie deficit before a challenge, because then I'm coming in on that third day and I'm starving. I'm
Yeah.
starving. I've got lots of room in my belly. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling hungry. And then sort of when you're eating, you're not feeling like you're just piling like kind of junk on top of junk. You kind of feel like, all right, well, I probably do actually need all these calories because I've been super flat lately.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like for ways to stretch your stomach, it's like high fiber food because I think years ago I heard about you eat like a lot of lettuce and spinach and broccoli. Is that right?
Yeah, so like everyone does stuff a bit differently, but yeah, like having a few liters of water and like a few kilos of watermelon and broccoli and some egg whites, or just have like a big bowl for dinner and then wash it down with like a couple of liters of water. So there's still food in your stomach and you're still stressing it with liquids, but it's not like a lot of calories. Because I think if you were stretching your stomach with a bunch of calories, then when you hit the days of the challenge, because challenges are stereotypically always a lot of calories, then it would just be too much for your body to handle. Or even if it could handle it, that's when you just start stacking on a bunch of like unwanted weight.
Yeah, it's like you burn your body out before you go and do the thing.
For sure, 100%. And like everyone's got different opinions, but I don't like the idea of not keeping food down or anything like that, because the whole point for me doing this is fun.
Yeah.
But also to show people that you can do this, and still balance it out nicely. Now, I would never want to sort of encourage anything that's not healthy. So I sort of think, well, if you're going to eat a big bowl of ice cream, you keep it down and just burn it off, and that's sort of like the best way. Like that's the healthiest way to sort of balance that in my eyes, at least, I guess.
Yeah, which is good to see as well because you promote the physical fitness side of things like just as hard as the other. And like you look like an absolute unit as well. And you're scoffing up all
Thank
this
you.
food. So, like it's good to see.
Oh, thank you very much.
Like do you reckon like your taste buds have changed or anything like that by doing these challenges, or do you feel like it's kind of the same?
I actually think now my tolerance for like my ability to consume a lot of sweet stuff or like a lot of fatty stuff or whatnot is has gotten better because of the nature of the challenges and like the sheer volume. I
Yeah.
think I think a couple of years ago, if you gave me 3 liters of ice cream, I think like 3 kilos of ice cream of like all that delicious Baskin Robbins, because it's got the creams and the nuts and all the. I think it would have been too decadent. I think I wouldn't be able to do it.
Mm.
Food, I still very much taste it all, but it's almost like conditioning. I feel like I'm a little bit more conditioned
Mm.
to take on the really sweet stuff, or the really like
Yeah.
like the really burgers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like going back to the gym as well. It's like the more you lift weights, the more you condition your body to handle the pressure of the weights. Kind of be
Yes,
similar with
yeah,
the foods.
100%, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. Like how many days do you give yourself from? Because when you fly back out to the mines, how many days do you give yourself from your last challenge to flying out? Because have you ever had a time where you did a challenge the day before flying out, and you've gone back to work with a crook gut or anything like that? Or have you usually timed it
Touch
pretty
wood,
good?
I've been super lucky, where I haven't actually had any like kind of problems that have like gone from the challenge to work. If anything, sort of, if I've been sick from a challenge, or like if it's giving me a bit of an upset tummy, like especially with the hot ones,
Mm.
the normal challenges, I normally find the next day I'm pretty okay.
Yeah.
So I won't do, like, for instance, I did a challenge today. That's Wednesday. Tomorrow night I'll go back to night shift, so I'll fly out to work tomorrow morning, and then we'll have a little rest and go into night shift. That's probably as close to work as I would do a challenge.
Yeah.
Probably like that 24th, like 24, 28, well, probably 28 hours before, because like you said, then if I do have a bit of an upset tummy, it gives me 24 hours to kind of get myself centered and back together, because you don't want to have an upset belly underground, because there's
No.
one toilet and there's a lot of dudes. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe stay away from doing like spicy food challenges and shit then.
I refuse to do any spicy food challenges. like 2 or 3 days before going to back to work because it's just yeah, it's just way too risky.
Bro, I ate a Carolina Reaper once, and I was cooked for about 2 days from it. Like it absolutely cooked me.
The spicy ones, man, the spicy ones. It's sometimes it's not even getting them down. It's just the aftermath of what happens once they're consumed.
Yeah, literally. Because like for me, I don't do like a challenge where I eat loads, but sometimes I push myself with like spicy food just because
Yeah,
like every now and then I love spicy, and I guess my ego comes into play, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I remember
exactly.
one time like I fucking got humbled really bad. So I went to this market stall and they had like a beef jerky there, and they're like a row from like cool to extra hot, and there was like a row like going all the way up to extra
Yeah,
hot.
yeah.
The guy was like, "Oh, how spicy do you like your food?" I was like, "Oh, I like spicy food." And he goes, "Do you want to try the lowest one and work your way up and see which one you want to buy?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." Got all the way to extra hot. I ate it, and I was like, "That's pretty hot, but like I can eat it, and and it's not too crazy." And then he looks at me, he looks around, and he goes, "I've got one under the shelf that I can't put on display in case people accidentally grab it." I was like, "Oh, true." And he goes, "You want to try? I can get it from the shelf if you want." I was like, "Yeah, go on, grab it." And he went and grabbed it. He was wearing gloves. He rips it open, passes me a piece of beef jerky, and me being an absolute idiot, ate it. I remember within 15 minutes, my body went pale, drenched in sweat. And I'm just sitting at the markets, just like cooked, coated in sweat for about 2 hours.
I love that he gave it to you in gloves. Like I would be like, oh man, what's going on?
Yeah, and when I saw that, that should have been the red flag.
Oh, but you don't think in those moments like that, I would be the same. I'd be like, nah, it's all right. Now he's just like, this is a gimmick.
Yeah, but that was my last time like pushing my limits with spicy food. It's like, all right, live and you learn, eh?
That's fair, man. That's totally fair.
So have you done many spicy challenges or
You know
anything
what?
with a little bit of heat?
Nah, I've done a couple for sure. Nothing to that degree, nothing crazy. I definitely will at some point. I've sort of just been blessed for the most part, where I think out of all my challenges, I've only had three that are really hot. Um, but in saying that, like, oh, as hotter ones pop up, or if I'm around and there's a hot one, like I'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
I think it's been more just good luck than good management that I haven't had to be subjected to anything too hot.
Yeah.
But I think that's coming.
Yeah.
Someone will see this and they'll be like, "Oh, I've got something for you."
Was it? I'm not sure. I believe this might have been you, but I remember like on TikTok a couple of months ago, there was a kebab store in Gold Coast, like asking you, I think it was you asking you to come down and try like their massive stack pack. Is
No,
that
I think that
you?
was Jay Webb. That was Jay
Jay
Webby. So
Webb.
that
Oh,
was
okay.
yeah, but he's great, man. He's really really good. So he's the Australian pro like number one eater, and he's like fifth rank in the world. But
Yeah.
like even going back to people like that, like I was talking to him the other day, it is incredible how supportive these guys are
Mm.
of just anyone. Like he commented on one of my videos. He was like, good job, man. And I was like, oh look, I've got nothing on you, bro. But coming from you, that means a lot because it does. Like that'd be like someone playing basketball and Kobe being like, good shot, man. You'd be like,
Yeah.
well, coming from you, like it's but and then he responded, look, man, we're all in this game together. And I was like, well, like it's super humbling because I guess there is a small percent of people that do this sort of food stuff for a competition or for content or for anything. So I think to sort of get recognized as like, as a peer of someone that I really idolize, like these guys are so supportive, man. And it's such a strange community, I guess, because it's something I never thought I would find myself in doing food challenges. And when you think food challenges, you don't think of a community. You just think of a dude with a camera eating food.
Yeah.
But that really opened my eyes up because not only are these guys like incredibly good, like they're just so supportive, and it's nice to see like people up the top. It's nice to see them remaining humble. So I was like, that was my biggest takeaway from that guy. Like, yeah, really, really nice.
That's awesome, man, because I love the whole aspect, community over competition. Like instead of
Yes.
us all trying to push each other down and like I have to be at the top and I need the spotlight so more things come to me. Instead, uplift the people around you and all win together because that creates more opportunities because it then brings more eyes to the thing that everyone's doing.
Yeah. Oh, man, 100%. And this is like, going back to the whole abundance thing, like there is no lack of attention, like with the internet, with food challenges, with people that there will never be like, oh, well, look, sorry, we've hit our quota for 3 food guys on the internet and you guys are it. So you've got to fight over who's the best food guy. There's so many people in the world, and some people just won't like you, and some people will love you. Like some people want to see the fastest, quickest dude ever, and I think my appeal for some people is that like, oh, he kind of looks like a criminal, but he's kind of nice. I was like, but you know, like you said, I think by realizing that there's plenty to go around, we sort of lift each other up instead of like the old crabs in a bucket pulling each other down.
Yeah, because like it just gets more people involved, more businesses involved, and the more business they get involved, the more promotion it gives to them, which more promotion it gives to you guys, which then creates more content for people to digest that actually enjoy it, which creates good moments and good times for them. It's like everyone wins from it, eh?
100%. 100%. And I guess by not taking ourselves too seriously, you allow so much more fun interactions to come through. You know, I think the biggest mistake I could ever make with this sort of stuff is start getting too serious. Like I'll always be sincere, but I'm not very good at being serious. And then from that, it's just like it's super fun, man. Like, you know, we were in Childers the other day, doing a challenge. Like my brother was there with me because he travels with me when he can. He doesn't do the challenges. He just like cheers and gets people into it. But you know, there's like 10 seconds left of this burger challenge. Well, I'm like 10 seconds away from completing it, and you just hear him like he starts yelling, and then you've got everyone just starts screaming. I was like, man, I can't believe people are cheering me to eat a burger. But it just creates this sense where everyone's so excited for that little bit, and you really just kind of forget about what's bothering you.
Yeah, like it's like the same feeling with sports. Like people come together
Yeah,
to cheer on the one thing. Like
exactly right.
you're the new footy team.
And you bond over it. You're like, yeah, eating the food fast. It's like, yeah, man.
like doing these things as well. Has there been like a specific texture of food that you can't do anymore? Like just eating your own personal life
Oh,
because of these
man,
challenges?
chips, like
Chips.
chips, fries, like whatever people call them. But like, I'm a fiend for potatoes, man. But because they're always used as like filler,
Yeah.
for food challenges, often, more often than not, everything's got chips on it. Like, you know, with the side of chips, with a kilo of chips, with a generous serving on the side of like, and every challenge will be like burger shake chips or, you know, burger wings chips, or ribs and chips. And like, I love chips, but like, I always try and attack the protein first, which means I've eaten so many cold fries in the last 12 months. And like when they go cold and you're
Yeah.
piling them in, it's just like cold starch. And it's nothing against fries because I love them. But I think that's the thing now where like I don't really crave them anymore like I used to.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Because like have you done much like have you had any challenges where they're giving you sweet potato fries instead of normal? Because
A
I find
couple
sweet
actually.
potato fills me more.
A couple like definitely felt like they just felt because I guess I don't know the science behind it per se because I guess they're all fries, but they are definitely more fibrous. But yeah, it starts off like, oh, thank God, it's not normal potato, and then it ends with like, God, I'm just as full anyway. But it is a nice change, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, that's good, man. I forgot there's something I want to share because when I was doing a bit of research just like on food, eating competitions and stuff like that, I came across like this website that came up with like some of the most random records set by food competitors. And I thought I'd share a couple because some of them are a bit
Yeah, sweet
wild
as.
and interesting, but they're pretty funny. So these are some of the records that I found. So someone has the most chicken nuggets eaten in 1 minute. And it was actually, at first I thought it was a bit less, but maybe you could give me a bit more insight. Someone devoured 19 chicken nuggets in 60 seconds. Is that a lot?
That yeah, that I
Yeah.
feel that's quite a lot, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of nuggets.
It's true. Because like I think I've only ate like six at a time. So I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, 19 is probably heaps, eh?
It's one of those things where I think it doesn't sound like even in my head it doesn't sound hectic, but I'm sure if you put 19 nuggets in front of me right now, I'd be like, oh, 60 seconds. Like I think it's one of those things you have to see to be like, whoa.
Yeah. Our next one is someone had 28 ounces of butter in 5 minutes.
Ooh.
Oh, I couldn't do that
Oh,
one.
that's full on. I don't know how.
Someone in 2002, a Japanese man set a world record by eating 57 cow brains in 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot. That would be a
Yeah,
lot of weight too. That's like, oh,
dense. And probably, I'm not
Dead
sure if
like
it's raw or cooked or yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
that sounds like I don't know if I could get one.
Nah, I couldn't even smell it.
Ugh.
In 2018, some dude in America had 74 hot dogs in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's actually excuse
Oh, that
me.
was Joey Jaws Chestnut.
That's the man. That's the
Yeah.
world record. That's I was gonna say 10 minutes. What was it, 74, 72?
74.
74. Man, that is like, yeah, he's the man. He is the
Yeah.
number one on the planet, Joey Chestnut. He is like next level. And he's another dude that doesn't look fat at all. Well, he's not fat at all. He's just
Yeah.
this tall built dude that just a machine. He's just an athlete, man. But yeah, that guy's he's a guy that I watch and I'm just in awe of. Like he's just like
Absolute weapon.
absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't fathom how someone eats 30 hot dogs in 10 minutes. But these guys are, your Jay Webbies, Jeffrey, I think it's Jeffrey Espo or Esper's his last name, and then Joey Chestnut, like all these guys at the top, like they're
Yeah.
just next level, man. Just next level.
Because it says here, like, to the equivalent of 74 hot dogs measures out to be two giraffes. Like, that's fucking huge.
That's loose. Wow.
Another guy called Oleg Zorkanitsky broke a record of 128 ounces or 1 gallon of mayonnaise in 8 minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
3.7 liters of mayo. Oh,
that's
I think I would die after 600 mils. I would die after a mouthful. What am I saying?
yeah, that's good. That's got me thinking too, because like most of your challenges, you have to have liquids with like a milkshake or a Coke or
Yeah,
something
yep.
like that. Does that add like that extra layer of just difficulty to it?
Well, a lot of the challenges there'll be like a milkshake or something that's compulsory. But more often than not, if there's no like milkshake or that, there's not. Sometimes in a lot of the challenges, there's no actual required beverage. So I'll drink the water and the soft drink. The water just to wash it down, but the soft drink kind of helps you burp, and it kind of cuts down the grease as well.
Oh, yeah, that makes
So
sense.
it's not even so that it's necessarily compulsory, but it's actually easier to have like a bit of like something to wash it down. Because like, even today with the burgers, like, I was smashing a Diet Coke in a water and someone's like, well, wouldn't that fill you up quicker? And it's like 8 burgers, 8 lots of bread. By the time I get to that eighth burger, the bread's cold. Like, does it the best burger in the world? Nothing to do with the restaurant, but by the time you hit that last one, it's going to be cold. Um,
Yeah.
or like getting colder at least, because I've still like I do a B roll and do a little intro. So like if it just came out and I started eating, maybe not as much.
Yeah.
But that water that water definitely helps get like the dry, like the colder bread down, because otherwise, or like even the soft drink helps you kind of burp quicker, make more room.
Yeah. That soft drink makes sense because every time I've like had the palmy and chips and it's been like a big one, like I smashed like half my glass of Coke, big burp. Now I feel like I've got like an extra like foot of room in me.
I mean, it does. It really, really does. Like I'll be sitting there sometimes, like even today, I'm on the fifth burger. I'm like, oh, and I've got the backpack as a chair, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm pretty full, and I got 3 burgers to go. I don't don't want to let these guys down. I've been training for this. Same thing, drinking the Coke, and then you just burp, and I'm like, oh no, I'm good again. It's like you said, it just must force that air up to the top, and you're like, oh, thank goodness for that. I'm actually cool.
Yeah. It just probably just releases all that gas that's sitting in our stomach, eh?
100% for sure.
My last question for you, brother, and I'm keen to hear from your own perspective. What does success mean to you?
Um, I really think it just means living life on your terms. Whatever that looks like to so like everyone's obviously got a different version of success, but for me at least, I think success just looks like being happy with what I have, being grateful for the environment I have, and just being able to live life on my terms. And even at the moment, like down the track, to me, I think I'll be feeling very successful when I'm fully working for myself. But even to be in a situation now where I'm week on, week off. On my week off, I get to travel and talk to cool people, meet cool people. And on my week on, I'm still working with a bunch of great men and women that make me laugh, and we're sharing an experience. Even if we don't, we're not like, yeah, let's go to work. We're still kind of bonding and sharing that. So I think success is more of a mindset than anything else. And I think I had to really learn that in this last 12 months because, being 29 and, didn't have a house, didn't have kids, I sort of created this narrative in my head where I was like, oh, I'm unsuccessful.
Yeah.
I'm unsuccessful, like it's just, I failed. Here we are. I thought I'd have my shit together a bit in general. I thought I had my shit together. And I guess I sort of felt like I didn't. And then I was like, well, like you said, I kind of thought, well, what would it take for me to feel successful? You know, and exactly that. I think it just comes down to more of how I feel about myself. And then once I started realizing, well, you know, I really have a good time with my life. And then I was like, well, I think to me in this moment, that's as you know, that's just building on that success of being happy every day, or as happy as you can be.
That is success, man. Like, because I love to hear that, because I think a lot of people have such a misconception on success, because I guess it feels like it's forced onto us that it has to be materialized. Like, it's all
Yep.
external. It's all based on the achievements that we do rather than who we are. I think
Yep.
once we bring it inwards more, then the more better we feel, the more fulfilled we feel, the more purposeful we feel. But we constantly attach it to all the external things around us. I feel like we start to feel empty.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like the more I focus on things, the more I feel just empty. That's the perfect way to put it for sure.
Yeah. But brother, I just want to say thank you for your time
Hey,
today.
thank you very
It's
much,
been a
man.
great
I
chat.
enjoyed that, man. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, where's the best place for people to find you? On Instagram and Jimmy Judge,
Yeah,
YouTube?
on Instagram it's just Jimmy Judge underscore, but you just type Jimmy Judge and you'll see my ugly face there somewhere. And then on YouTube, Jimmy Judge Eats. I've committed to the YouTube now. I've been really lazy with making long form content, so I've made a decision this
Let's
month.
go.
I've started getting like the longer. I've got 3 or 4 ones this week going. So if you want to watch like something longer, we've got the YouTube, and if you just like the little reels, then I've got loads of reels on Instagram. So yeah, sweet.
Brother. I'll link everything in the bio. So if you want to find Jimmy and all the stuff he does,
Thank
jump
you
to
so
the
much.
bio. But cheers, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.